back
Oh my god.
with our first proper episode of our
Episode
podcast.
1.
Episode 1. How...
What's the call again? Oh, 17 going on 27. Our origin story.
That's what we've decided for the title, haven't we?
Such a good title.
Well, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for joining us again. If you're listening, if you listen to our first one and you're coming back, we really appreciate that. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome.
Welcome.
Hello.
Yeah, hello. Thanks so much to everyone who had anything nice to say about the podcast. Not that sounds like people had not nice things to say. But no, yeah, thanks to anyone who said anything nice and was just, even they said, we listened to it. It's really nice to hear that because you just never know if anyone is ever going to listen. We
really appreciate it. It's been really nice. We've had some moments this week where people have come up to us and they've said, "Oh, we've listened to the podcast," and it was really great to hear you guys. It's been a lot of positive feedback for us, which is great. It's
some haters. No.
Really?
No, I'm joking.
People I don't know about. No.
I just hide all the negative comments from you, like
just to protect my ego. It's all going to work out, Mike. It's going great. Oh yeah, I'm just mindlessly throwing more money into it.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So today we wanted to talk about just give you like an episode on our background a bit about what we've, who we are, where we've come from, how we've gotten to where we are over the past 10 years of being together.
10 years plus now. It's been over 10 years.
Yeah, that's it.
Which is amazing. And
how do you understand the people if you don't know their past?
So true.
Yeah.
How do you understand the podcast if you don't understand the people?
Pod past.
Oh my god, we're delving into the pod past.
Cringy. That's the
okay. Love that. That's the subtitle there.
Yeah.
That's the take home.
That's it.
Okay.
So where should we begin? Where do you think is a good place to start?
Why don't you start and just like roll on about yourself and a little bit about just
before
you.
we met.
Before we met,
Yeah,
just
okay.
a little bit about yourself.
Okay. Well, so my name's Mike. I'm 27 years old. I was born in a small town called Widnes, which is, if anyone lives in Liverpool, you'll probably know Widnes. It gets a bad reputation for its stank.
It does.
There's always this comment that it's like when you drive into Widnes, it's like, oh, what's that smell? I don't smell it, but maybe that's because I was brought up there.
I don't smell it either. Growing up in Runcorn, I never smelt it, but everyone would say, "Oh, Widnes stinks," and I think it was just the smell every now and then from those big pollution towers that
have recently been knocked
demolished.
down. Yeah, there was a power station that got knocked down called Fiddler's Ferry.
Not a good name.
God, like you've got the whole English language and it's what should we call it? I don't know, but I'm really keen on fiddle to be in there. Fiddler.
I really want it to feature fiddles.
Yeah, let's get Fiddler in there.
Oh dear.
So I was born in Widnes. I lived there for my whole life. I went to school there. Left when I was about 19. Came to Liverpool to study at university. Studied English. Didn't have. I mean, how do you sum up like your life like within like a couple of minutes?
Yeah.
It was I think I had a very, very quirky, interesting, eccentric childhood.
I would agree.
Which
you don't have to go into.
Plenty of very quirky one-off. Like I think I feel like I'm incredibly lucky for my upbringing because I feel like it was so different. I think I'd need a full series to talk about some of my childhood.
Sure.
Some very interesting bits, lots of funny bits, lots of humorous bits. Like every other family, there's tragedy and there's conflict and there's that kind of stuff. But generally speaking, I had a very I'd have to say quirky and unique childhood. But I think with that has come the fact that I feel like without sounding too self-indulgent, I think I've turned into quite a unique young man. I think I'm a very unique individual in the sense that when I was growing up, there'd be a lot of things that I think shaped me in childhood, and as I was coming of age, I would look at the people around me or the sort of scene or culture that was around me, and I I didn't slip into it as easy as I thought a lot of people around me were slipping into it. And that's great because, you know, I think now it's like, I think because of those things, you know, it's like you know, so when you know, in high school I wasn't a particularly high achiever. I wasn't a reprobate. I was always a bit of a funny, I was, you know, the funny kid.
Class
I was
clown.
a little bit. I was always trying to make people laugh and get a laugh. So, and it was the same in college. I wasn't a high achiever. I did okay. I mean, I got grades well enough to get into a college, and then I went to University of Liverpool. So I got decent grades. I failed on my first set of A levels, and I ended up going back and resitting and getting the grades to get into to uni. But in between all that, it was like, I just, you know, I feel as if that I was always looking for jobs, work. We when we were like 17, 18, at one point I was working like 2 jobs and going to college. One of them was in game. One of them was in a restaurant called, Meg and I both worked at it. It's called Panda Buffet.
Sadly, it's closed down now.
If you're a old school Widnes
Widnesian.
Widnesian, you'll know of, you might have even been into Panda
We might
Buffet.
have served you.
We might have served you. Maybe.
That's cute.
So we worked there together.
And you used to work with your dad as a gardener.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I used to. My dad would. My dad's a gardener, so he'd always say to me, like, you can come and do a day's work with me instead of, if you don't want to go to school, or if there's a day thing that you're off in college, do you want to come and do a day's work with me? And I was always very keen to do that, and he definitely instilled a sense of work ethic and doing your own thing, like being your own. You know, you don't have to follow this trend of
just that opportunity you've been able to be like, look, come and put a graft in.
Yeah.
And here's some like pocket money, you know.
Yeah,
like,
exactly. Yeah, exactly. So I feel like I was always instilled with a sense of enterprise, or you know, like, it's like, oh, okay, well, I could be going and studying right now, or I could be out making some money and learning how to sort of navigate that world. But with that said, I was lucky because I got the best of both worlds. I was able to do that, and I got into uni. You know, uni was fine. I'm a musician by trade and skill, but I studied English literature, which was nice. You know, resonated a bit with some books and novels and poems, but nothing drastic. I imagine it's the same for a lot of people. You sort of go into uni thinking it's going to be like, I definitely thought I was going to be like this bohemian, cigarettes behind my ears. I mean, I was that person, you know. It's like, you know, sunglasses on, and I'm a songwriter, but I study English lit, and look at me, and like, you know, it's great because I got to be that person for a bit.
It's coming of age, isn't it?
It's coming of age, absolutely. But then, yeah, well, all the while I was at uni, I was sort of gigging and making music and playing music and busking and getting gigs, and it was clear that I was never going to go into something that was that had something to do with my degree. I knew that I was always going to do something that was for me, whether or not it was music or something else that was just that I was interested in. And then came out of uni and just continued to do music and grow that and gig and tour and make music and do things in that vein and just continue to explore and experiment. And if what was great about, I think, my upbringing was, it was always like, you don't have to, I never felt like I had to confine myself to something, you know. I never thought, well, I'm a musician, so I am a musician. It was like, well, I enjoy music, so I'll pursue that. And then there's other times where I've been like, oh, I quite like comedy, I quite like making people laugh and making myself laugh, so maybe I'll pursue that for a little bit. And it's always that mindset that I feel like I can slip into very easy, of being like, well, just give it a go, just run at it, just charge, and you know, don't compromise how you feel for anything or anyone. And that's great because it feels like it's enabled me to breathe and try new things. And that's partly then why we've started this, and now we're doing this, and we're I mean, what a wonderful opportunity to be able to sit next to the person you love the most and spend the most of your time with, and be able to say, oh, we do something together. We have like a bit of an enterprise that we're doing together. Like, that's just so lucky. I feel like a lot of people won't have those opportunities, which is I feel very lucky for that. But what about
That's
you?
nice.
Why don't you? That's I feel like that was a concise rendition of
That's
how
pretty
I got
good,
to.
Yeah,
How
that's
about
gone
you?
up until this point as well. Like,
Mm.
you know,
In a quick 10 to 5, 7 minutes?
barely 5 minutes. Nice. Okay, I'll do 5 minutes.
Okay, you go.
So I grew up in Runcorn, which is a small town in the northwest of England, adjacent to Widnes, where Mike grew up. And yeah, very normal childhood, I'd say. Very happy, very outdoorsy. I was always playing out, getting into mischief and stuff like that. You know, I have a lot of like nice, happy memories of childhood that I'm very grateful for that I don't have. I don't know, when I think back, I just think all I remember is just playing out and, you know, going to my friends and them coming to mine, and just, yeah, very, like, grateful for the normality,
Yeah.
I guess. But yeah, but it's when you were talking about, like, always having a bit of a, you know, how you go out and work with your dad and stuff. I think my early, like, thing of enterprise and about hustling and stuff was like Animal Crossing. Like,
Oh yeah.
I was so addicted to that game when I was young that
It's a good game.
it's a great game, but I spent a lot of time on it really building my empire, you know, getting like the museum stacked, the house stacked and stuff. I have a lot of fun memories of playing that when I was a kid. But yeah, so I grew up in Runcorn, went to high school. I was like, yeah, not a big like achiever in high school really. I kind of did what I could to like just slide through sort of thing, not really putting too much effort into things, but then not slipping behind anyone and stuff like that. Yeah, quite mischievous, I guess.
Oh yeah?
Yeah, just, you know, like
chip on your shoulder.
a little bit, yeah. I just had a mouth on me, like just always having a go at.
Still got that mouth.
Just always just like, you know, the typical like answer back, never take no for an answer and stuff. And
Oh yeah.
didn't deal well with authority and all that jazz. But I did well. I did all right in my grades and stuff. And
Definitely, you did better than me grade wise.
did I?
I think so. Yeah.
I got like a couple of A stars.
Oh yeah.
A few
Yeah,
A's,
yeah.
a couple of B's.
Yeah, way better than me. Yeah.
Really? What did you get?
I only got like 2 A's and then a bunch of B's, got a couple of C's. Yeah.
Nice. What was your lowest grade?
I think it would have been a C in a maths or physics paper, or something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, then went to college in Widnes, so that like everyone in Runcorn pretty much only had a couple of choices of colleges to go to, and the vast majority of us were all going to college in Widnes, and just sort of followed along with that really.
Which is the neighbouring town, isn't it? So it's only like a 20-minute, 30-minute bus ride into
30-minute bus ride.
Yeah.
But yeah, went to college. Very standard, but then that's where we met. So we'll do a whole thing.
Yeah, why don't we circle? We'll circle back on us.
Back. Yeah, we'll circle back.
Yeah, you keep going.
But yeah, well, I don't know what else to say.
Well, what about when you know, like your time at college, like what you studied, how you know?
So I did English, history, photography, and textiles at college. Like a nice two like sort of traditional academic ones, and then a couple of like creative ones.
Yeah, definitely.
That I loved. I did love all my subjects. And just I was happy to be there. I was happy to just have the independence, and it's such a different dynamic to being in high school. You know, it's
a lot more independence.
Super independent. Like, you know, if you don't want to be there, you don't have to be there, sort of thing. So I loved college, and and then I was also working. Usually I was working at Panda Panda in Widnes, and
always with the work ethic you were. You don't think there was ever a minute where you didn't have a job?
No, always did. Then I was at TK Maxx for quite a bit.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah.
It was a great job.
Yeah. Coffee time.
Widnes, that was a good one.
Still there now?
It's still there. Yeah.
Withstood the test of time.
It was a good place.
Yeah.
It was very popular, very like same people every single day.
Well, that's the nature of a small town, isn't it?
Classic. Yeah. But yeah, that's pretty much me really.
And then uni.
And then well, I thought we were gonna you're gonna circle back to being in college.
No, circle back to us meeting.
Oh,
I was just
okay.
saying, like, your university
Okay.
experience, then coming out of uni.
So then, yeah, took a year out after college, pretty much waiting for you to go back to college
Yeah.
to get your grades.
That was my resit year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
While I was working, then went to uni together, both studying English literature at the uni of Liverpool, which was not for me really. When I look back at it, I think I didn't deal well with essays, deadlines. I didn't get involved as much as I think I would have liked to. If I look back now, I kind of just didn't apply myself very much to it because I don't know, you just have this idea of something, and then you're kind of doing it and you're like, oh, this is not fitting into what I thought this was going to be.
Yeah.
And then suddenly you just sort of think, what am I doing here? I'm so out of my depth. And yeah, but, you know, going to uni, it allowed me to, like, move out of
That's
home.
right.
Both of us
Yeah.
moved into Liverpool together, got our first flat, which was freezing.
But that was great because we didn't have to do, like, what is it? Not dorms. Halls. Yeah. We went straight to being able to get a flat, which was great.
Yeah, which was very cool.
That was a good experience moving
So
out
it
of
was
home.
so much all at once, wasn't it? Like being away from home properly.
Yeah.
You know, living alone. Well, not living together away from home. Being at uni together, which was great. Obviously, like so lucky.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, brilliant.
Always had a couple of jobs on the go. A lot of jobs on the go through
Yeah,
uni.
all through uni, you were still working. You were still
Yeah.
getting your head down.
I'm sure I must have had like 5 or 6 different jobs in 3 years.
You moved quick. Yeah, you
did.
moved quick.
As soon as I got a whiff of any like bollocks at one of the jobs, it was like, nah,
Yeah.
I can't stay here.
Yeah,
But you know, that was good because it does, again, it's like a work ethic thing.
that's it.
Like,
Yeah.
which was great, and you learn so much.
You've worked more jobs than I have. You've had your fair share of, because I would be that person where, like you say, like I'd go into a job ages ago, like when I was at Game or Panda Panda or something, and you know, you'd go in and you'd get one, like you say, you'd get one whiff of someone's someone's attitude or someone's
The
like
boss.
or this thing of like, I'm higher up than you, and people's egos come out. And it's
yeah.
funny because at the time we were able to withstand it because you think, well, it's for money, there's worse jobs out there.
Yeah.
But then you think about what it's like to start your own business and be your own boss, and obviously take on the stress and admin that comes with that. The thought now, if something happened, I can't imagine, I lose both my hands or something and my voice really breaks. I don't know. Like, I don't know. I seriously don't know how I could go back to your typical workplace dynamic with hierarchy. And
it's after so long of just not having anyone tell you where to be or tell you what to do or things like that. It does change your brain chemistry. Like now it's like, well, hang on, you know what I mean? If I was going to be in a job now and they were like, oh, Meg, you need to go and like wash that toilet, I'd look at them and be like, no. Then I'd just probably get sacked, which did happen once or twice.
But
it's funny,
you always drew
it's
good boundaries.
and it's not to say that neither of us can deal with hard work or can deal with the graft and doing stuff, because we definitely do, but it's like it's not
about
politics of like being in a job with someone telling you what to do.
That's it. It's not the work. It's the atmosphere and the team that are around you.
And just working hard for yourself is very rewarding.
100%.
Whereas working hard for a boss, they'll be like, "Oh, nice one." That's it.
Well, I don't think that you even
or
get
even
that much. You know,
probably wouldn't even get the recognition. But yeah.
Well, we can circle back to that because I feel like that'd be an interesting thing to talk about. But
that's
just
probably
for the
definitely
sake
more
of
on like little self-employed episode or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that was me, and then working out of uni, lockdown, started my small business, and then I've just been doing that ever since with various other side hustles and side projects and side quests.
Yeah.
Which are great, and then here we are today.
Here we are today. Yeah.
But yeah, do you want to talk about how we met?
Well, yeah, if we can cycle back to when we met, we went to the same college, Cronton College, and we met I was a year ahead of you, wasn't I? So in first year, I was very different to who I was in second year. First year, I was very overweight. I was about 17 stone at one point. This would be the part in the video where it cuts to me in like 2 chili dogs with like one sticking out of my mouth. And I was very overweight. Didn't look after myself. I don't think I think I bathed myself like once a week. I was just in a weird place at the start of college. Used to walk around with the same mustard t-shirt on. I've got a picture of that somewhere. It's just awful. I don't know what I was thinking.
I've never seen the mustard picture.
Dan's got pics of me with this like I had glasses.
I remember the blue t-shirt that said, "If found, please return to the beer tent."
I had a Tommy Bahama like Hawaiian shirt that I wore all year round.
Oh yeah.
In December because it was
was flattering?
It was the comfiest thing I owned, and I was all about comfort in those days.
Oh god.
And then I had a bit of over the summer. I had a bit of a thing where I was like, that whole year really. I remember credit to my friend Dan. We were. I said to Dan, we were like, we're gonna start being healthy. Let's do it, because Dan wanted to get in shape as well. And I was like, yeah. But I was more so because Dan was always, in fairly good shape. I was obese. Let's just say it. I was obese.
Let's not beat around
the bush. Let's not beat around the bush. I was morbidly obese, and what?
No, it's just funny.
It is. Yeah. No,
comfort in your knee.
Oh no.
It's okay.
I'm totally over it now. And I remember saying to Dan, I was like, we were in the canteen. I was like, Dan, I'm gonna do it. This is the day. And he was like, yeah, man, like we can totally do this. Blah, blah, and we pumped each other up. And then the next day I walked in there and I was like, God, I'm hungry. And like they had like in Cronton canteen, they had like it was chips, it was like it was sausage rolls, and I walked over to Dan with like a plate of chips, massive chips, a sausage roll, like can of Coke, and I sat down and Dan was like what are you doing? We had this conversation yesterday, and I was like, yeah, no, it's just like, I'm gonna go to the gym, but I'm starting, and he was like, like what do you like, he came down on me, but in a good way, where I was like, yeah, like what am I doing? I had this big conversation yesterday, like.
It's really tough though when you're young and you're at home. It's really not easy what you did, but you had a full on
180
caterpillar into a butterfly transition.
Turning back into a bit of a caterpillar now, I reckon.
No, don't be daft.
But yeah, no, and then that was a bit of a tangent. But then luckily not that Meg's like superficial, but
luckily Mike sorted himself out before we met.
Meg, I know that you love me, but I think if you would have known me in that first year, I think you would have. I don't think you'd have felt the same. Really, I don't. It's more about the self-respect I had for myself.
That's
like
true.
I stank.
Yeah.
And like
that wouldn't have appealed to me.
My hair was greasy. People used to say like, "Is it raining out?" And I was like, "No." But
such a wheeze.
So I went and lost a load of weight. I lost about 7 stone in that year. So but then I got down to probably too skinny, and then we met, and then do you want to tell people how we met?
So starting college, it's like this new life. I'm wearing, you're wearing your own clothes. You're feeling good. You're getting into all this new music, and you're in classes, and it's a whole new world. And then, we met. We technically first properly met in the library at college, but we didn't really have much of a interaction. It was kind of very fleeting. But I remember thinking like, oh, this lad's he's pretty good looking.
Wow.
He's, whoever he is. I think you didn't even really introduce yourself properly.
Yeah.
But I remember just being like, yeah, he's all right. And like my friend was like, oh my God, yeah, my friend went to me, because you had a proper comb over at that point. Like the proper sweep.
Oh yeah.
Hair,
the
mop top.
The mop top.
Comb over.
Yeah.
My friend was like, oh my God, like he looks like Jake Bugg. And I was like, at this point, Jake Bugg was huge.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, yeah, he does. Like he's quite fit.
Wow.
And and then we met properly, like on a trip to London, which we both were on as part of history. We were like going to like the Houses of Parliament.
Well, a little funny, just quick thing about, I wasn't even supposed to be on that trip.
You weren't.
I got
last minute.
I got a phone call from Dan, same friend, that morning, and he was like, someone's dropped out of the trip, there's a space. And I remember it was like 7 a.m, and I was like, don't be stupid, like, I'm not, no, of course not. And again, he was like, no, do it, come on, like, let's come, it'll be a laugh, a lot of fun time, seize it. And I remember being like, oh no, and then, but then I was like, yeah, all right. And then made it over to the station, and got on the train, and then we sat on either side of, it's in like blocks of 4, isn't it? So me and Dan and this other guy were on one block of 4, and you Jess,
I was just
and some
adjacent.
guy, was it Adam?
Yeah, I think Adam was sat with his own friends, another guy we went to college with, but yeah, it was me and my friend Jess.
My contender at the time, I thought.
It's funny. But yeah, so we're on this trip to London. It's very exciting. I mean, being in London was exciting, but going around like the Houses of Parliament and that was like really dull. For me anyway, it was at the time. But then yeah, we kept having little interactions every now and then.
Just little one-liners.
Little eye contact and stuff like that. And then we got a bit of free time towards the evening, and it was right before Christmas. And I remember I wanted to like buy loads of gifts and stuff, like get loads of souvenirs and all that. And
very sweet.
I remember like I was like, I'm gonna wait till the very end to do all that. And I got to the till in this little shop that was near like the Christmas markets, and I went to like get my purse out of my coat pocket. I thought like, no. And I couldn't feel it anywhere in my pockets, and I didn't have anything else with me, and I was like, oh my God, my purse is gone.
Yeah.
I was like, oh my God, it was that feeling that you get when you can't find your phone or something, and you just feel the world drain from like your head down to your toes, and like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And like we looked everywhere, and it was like getting on time to like go back to the group and like get on the tube and get back home and stuff. But yeah, eventually had to admit defeat that it had been like pickpocketed. That's the only thing I can think of, because I didn't take my money out all day, so that's the only thing I can think was that it was just slipped out of my pocket, which is sad. But yeah, and then we're on the train home, and I'm a real damsel in distress at that point. I've been robbed. Like
we sat pretty much in the same seats as when we arrived as well.
We did, and that's when we properly like got talking.
That's it. I remember seeing you very upset, and I was like, what's up with that? What's up with that girl? Like, why is she so upset? And someone was like, oh, one of the teachers was like, oh, she's been pickpocketed, she's lost all her money. And I was like, oh no. And then we sat opposite each other, and then we just started talking, didn't we?
We did, yeah.
I think it was like, oh, that sucks, like, are you okay? And it's like, yeah, it's, and then we just hit it off from there.
Just really hit it off. You were telling me about your band.
I was in a band,
you were
of
in
course.
A band. You were telling me all about your
pack of cigarettes in my pocket,
and
looking very cool and suave.
You were in like a leather jacket.
A leather jacket which I ordered online from eBay from like Hong Kong, and I think it cost me about £7. And I only got rid of that jacket like 2 years ago.
Not that long ago.
Because it got I got like bird poo all over it, and I still had it, and I was like, it's probably time.
Yeah, it was a good jacket.
Yeah, it was good. Yeah.
But yeah, that was the meeting, and then we didn't really see each other after that, because we'd like pretty much quite quickly broken up from college at that point.
Yeah.
But then we sort of stayed in touch. We would be like messaging on Facebook and things like that.
Yeah, I feel like you were pretty quick onto the finding me on Facebook.
It was literally, my mum and dad came and picked me up from Runcorn Station.
Yeah.
And I was like in the back of my dad's van, like Googling you and
really?
finding you on Facebook and everything. Liking
your
nice. Band page, liking your page.
I remember that. I remember getting home and being like, well, like this could be something. And you were my first proper girlfriend.
Aww.
Like I'd had in high school, there's always high school love affairs, flings, little romances and dramas, and I think I think we've all experienced them to some degree, but you were my first proper relationship. And it was funny because for a long time I was like, in high school there was opportunities to be in relationships with people, and I always just thought like, no, there was something in me that was always like, no, like I just don't, it doesn't feel right, or that doesn't feel like the best move or the best fit, or I'd do a 180 and I'd actually feel quite nervous, like the thought of you know, when I was in year 8, a girl told me that she fancied was always the word. Like which, you know, I think like fancy, and it's like you're gonna eat me. Like I fancy a cream egg.
A bit it's a little bit like, oh, you fancy me for what?
Yeah,
like,
yeah. What's your fan? Yeah.
Yeah.
But she told me she fancied me, and my heart like dropped into my stomach, and I was a total mess. I was like, oh god, this girl likes me. I feel so bad for her.
Yeah, that's
like,
normal. I definitely had that as well.
Mm.
It was like you'd be friends with someone, and then they'd be like, oh, you'd hear a rumour that they
Yeah,
liked you, and you'd be like, oh,
the
well, I'm
dreaded
never
rumour,
seeing
yeah.
them again.
Yeah, that
You
was
know?
yeah, I know, and it was But then with you, it just felt totally like, just totally natural. It felt like we were just two friends, and then we started going for coffee.
We did. We'd go for coffee together in Pesto, like from college.
Pesto was
hanging out.
Yeah, Pesto was a little just down the road from our college. It was like a fancy. I mean, going back there, it's not that. At the time, it felt very fancy.
At the time, it was like, it's definitely the nicest place.
Yeah.
Like
Italian bistro style.
Yeah,
you
it's
know?
like a Italian tapas place, but also they had like open fires, and I think if a place has an open fire, I'm like, yeah, this is fancy.
Yeah,
you know
that's
what
right.
I mean?
That's right. We used to go and get little coffees, and we'd talk.
Mockers,
that's right.
Smoke a lot of cigarettes.
Back in those bohemian days of, you know, like,
read a lot of poetry to each other in the
that's
library.
That's right.
Listen to a lot of the Smiths.
Listen to a lot of good music, a lot of old music. I remember there was a lot of Ricky Nelson and the Everly Brothers.
Oh yeah, we liked the oldies, didn't we? We used to go to like Frankie and Benny's like every other day.
That's it, yeah.
We'd just go, and we had no money, so we'd just go and order like a Coke between us and sit in there for hours. It was the only place to go.
Sometimes we would have, I remember what we'd do this, we'd have like maybe a $5, which, because we had no ways of making, at the start of college, we didn't have jobs, we didn't have any money, so you'd have like maybe a $5 from someone somewhere. Yeah. And we'd order toast. We'd go to Frankie and Benny's and we'd order toast.
Yeah.
2 slices of toast, like one for me, one for you.
Because they'd get a bit like pissy if we didn't order any food. We were
That's
like,
right.
We'll have your jam on toast.
One time, do you remember that time we went in there? It was just like any other time. We went in there. We were in a booth. They sat us in a booth, which is like, all right, well, that's your fault. Like, you've sat us in a booth. So so we do what any couple would do. Instead of sat like opposite each other in this booth, which looks mental, we sat close together. We were 17, 18, obviously madly in love at the time, but like, you and I are even back then very respectful. We wouldn't be taking them. We wouldn't be like, you know, we might hold hands and we might kiss and snuggle.
You'd have like your arm around me or something, but then they chucked us out.
They came. I remember and obviously it was like, okay, like what's it going to be today? Is it going to be jam or butter? And marmalade. And the guy came up to us, who was like the manager, and he was like, just so you know, I've seen what you've been doing under the table. And I was like, what? I was like, what is he talking about? And he was like, so I'm giving you a warning. So I was, but thinking about it now, it's like,
that's so weird.
You're giving us so it's like, what did you think I was doing under the table? That then you came over and said, I'm going to give you a warning, not like throw you out.
Anything, like when I think back to that now, it's actually quite like pervy.
It is a bit
him to do that,
pervy, especially because you and I, the most we would have been doing is I might have had my arm on your leg, and it might have been a thing of like I was just like holding your leg.
Yeah, that's
but totally normal, like, you know, that's a totally normal. I feel like
all wholesome,
wholesome stuff. Like, oh, like, let's, you know, we would be singing like to the Neil Sedaka song that was like playing in the background. So, oh, like, we're gonna get some toast. Very humble.
Just didn't like us in there because we one time ordered a pizza.
Ah, that was funny. That was funny. One time we ordered. There was a place in Widnes called Hollywood Pizza, which
the greasiest pizza in Widnes.
If we ever get my dad on this podcast, my dad would be like, oh, best pizza place in the world, Hollywood Pizza, and it's like the greasiest.
Yeah.
Most. I've never seen that much grease.
It's one of those like disappearing paper towel things.
Yeah.
You put a paper towel down and it's just gone.
Yeah, like you know. And we did, I don't know how we got away with that, but we sat at the bar, ordered the pizza.
I think we were quite pally with the barman at the time, and we couldn't afford to order a pizza from them, so we were like, can we just order a pizza like to here? And he was just like, yeah, I don't give a shit, and we did. They
were totally fine with it. We just ate the pizza at the bar.
And pretty well. I've got a picture of it actually.
Yeah,
we need to get our photos out in a minute and have a look through.
It's a picture of me eating it at the bar, isn't it? We should try and put that in the video. We should try and get a picture and put it in.
We'll do it for our little cute video we're going to make.
I like that. Okay.
We can bring that out.
That's good.
People that listen to the pod now can be like, oh, there's
That's
the picture
great.
of Mike eating the Hollywood Pizza in Frankie and Benny's.
We'll get that in. Yeah. Love that.
But yeah, so then we'd both be at college together, you know, just two young lovers.
Two young lovers in
spending every day
college.
together.
Every
You'd be
day.
at mine a lot, I'd be at yours a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we lived in a garage for a short amount of time.
Yes.
That's a whole other story.
Yes,
but
we'll have an episode called The Garage, which in itself deserves...
let us know somehow if you ever see us, if you want to hear the garage story. Otherwise,
It
but
was a
you know.
2-year stint of me living in a garage.
me part-time living in a garage. We'd be living at mine, and then a few nights a week we'd be in a garage.
The garage
So that
had
was fun.
it had a Portaloo toilet, which
What an adventure that was.
I had to empty regularly, and we had to learn how to go in front of the toilet and go to the toilet in front of each other.
We
I had one of those Wi-Fi boxes to try and steal Wi-Fi. I had
It
a
was
microwave.
a microwave.
We had a lot of microwave meals.
It was really interesting, and
I think it was one of the best times.
it was a great time.
It was one of the best times of my life being in
Yeah.
that garage. It's only when
I
you
think back, and it was probably the best day of my life.
when you well, at the time I remember being so resentful. I remember being like, "This is why me," and then but now it's like I think that was a great time.
And then
We lived in that garage. Then we moved out.
we moved out, got our first place.
First place.
We were at uni together.
Lived in Liverpool.
and
Little studio
it
apartment.
was a studio.
Yeah.
But I say it were freezing because it had the highest ceilings ever, which I thought was really cool. But it turns out,
Yeah. Incredibly
be
difficult to
freezing.
heat and
Yeah.
incredibly expensive to heat
yeah.
and not sustainable. Summer months awesome, but in
in the
Britain
summer months,
that's
we had some great times in the summer
we
months.
had some
in
great
that flat.
times. Yeah, we had some great times in that flat.
But yeah, then I guess it was second year of uni. We moved to
Into
where
the
we
place we are
currently
now.
Here now.
And this is a great place. We've been here for a long time, and we feel like we've
have.
really turned it into what feels like home.
Yeah, we've had a lot of like life things in this flat, like being at uni,
Mm.
then like working, and then working for ourselves as well. And
Yeah.
it's really grown with us, and we do love it here. We're really grateful.
Definitely. I feel very grateful to be here, and we moved in originally with my friend Dan.
Yeah, one of our closest friends
yeah.
we lived with, which was lovely. And then
Yeah.
we lived with a couple of other friends for quite a
Yeah,
while.
we lived with our friend Isaac, our friend Matt, our friend Tyler.
We lived- a lot of people.
A lot of people.
Yeah.
But it was, we needed, not having a roommate. This is a 2-bed flat, and we were younger, so we weren't pulling in that much money, and things were a bit more.
Yeah.
We were a bit more
Oh, yeah.
erratic in terms of like jobs and lifestyle.
and-
So
So it was, looking back, it is helpful when you live with more people for the
Yeah, it
rent and
was
stuff
helpful,
and
yeah.
bills. But I love living with just you now.
well, we made the jump about a year ago, I think. Actually, yeah, it would have been about a year ago.
Yeah.
March
round
time,
about
yeah.
this year. Yeah. Our first proper year of living here together.
Together
just
alone,
us.
yeah. And our roommate at the time, Tyler, he was really cool about it. He
yeah. Great roommate.
Yeah, really, really good roommate. He was very cool about it, and he, we sort of said like, we were thinking about moving out, or we were thinking
Right.
about potentially just trying to do something as a duos
Yeah.
thing.
Going from a trio to a duo.
But again, we had, there were lots of really fun experiences living with Dan, living with Matt, living with Isaac, living with Tyler. More so Tyler, because Tyler lived with us for a few years,
did,
whereas everybody
yeah.
else was sort of on and off in monthly stints.
Yeah.
And
But we've really grown up a lot in this flat, and it just works so well for us. And I think we do obviously plan to be looking into other places and stuff in the future and moving. Like, I don't think this is where we want to like settle down, whatever
Well,
that means.
No, I think it's always one of those things where like I feel like you can't put that stuff so much on a pedestal. Even though ironically sometimes we have these like we'll joke to each other and say like, oh, where do you see yourself in 10 years? And it's that, we might say like, oh, we're living in Hollywood Hills in LA. It's like, yeah, well, but I suppose it's good to have something where it's like you've got something there mindfully that you're working towards.
Yeah.
But at the same
You're
time,
definitely better at that. I think I can be quite resistant to change and quite, I'll be like way more concerned about being, not that you're not content, but you're definitely like way more, I'm picking it up, but you're like usually way more ambitious than me, and very, you'll have these like ideas for the future and stuff that sometimes I can be a bit intimidated by, you know. But I think this past few months when we've talked about it, I've definitely thought more about this idea of like just seeing what you might want for yourself and seeing like how far we've come in 10 years, and then being like there's no reason why we couldn't be anywhere we wanted to be in the next 5 or 10 years.
Well, 10 years ago from where we are now looked a lot different to where we are now.
Absolutely.
That made no sense. 10 years. Did you hear what I just said? That was meant. I said something so backwards then. 10 years ago now looks way different than 10 years ago look now, I think I just said. But
yeah, we've come a long, long way in 10 years.
We have come a long way, and I think that a lot of that, because what's funny about our relationship, I think, is that I don't sweat the big things.
No.
I've always felt like that's with the thing of like ambition, or where do you see yourself, where do you want to go, what do you want to do, something that you want to work towards, how do you get from point A to point B, whatever it is there a project there that you want to work on? I'm always like, yeah, like we'll go for it. And then if there's money, you know, it's like, well, how are we going to finance that? We need to bring money in, we need to, you know, we constantly need to be thinking about that, because we run our own businesses, and you know, it's like you can't well it's just one of those things. It's like we live in Liverpool city centre, we have to keep that, you've got to keep on top of your business, otherwise you're just very quick. But then it's also being like, how do you make enough to keep growing, like your finances, you know, we're not just making enough to get by, how do you grow? And I'll always be like, it's fine, like it's
thinking of bigger, better things. And
but with that said, and you might, in the past you might have gotten a bit stressed about that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But then the flip of that is then I will stress more of the little things, and you'll be more calm about those little things. Like
I know what you mean.
Think of it? I'm trying to think of an example.
Like I guess little things that go wrong here and there, like day to day, or. But then again, I don't know. I don't think you're giving yourself enough credit for how good you are at handling things that go wrong.
Recently, I feel like we've both done that. I feel like I've been getting better at being. I think both of us just being more composed and more centered in terms of how we think about things that might scare us or frustrate us, or be more like, I've got conflict with that. We're both getting better at just bringing it back to a place of neutrality and feeling positive, or turning it into a positive feeling.
Definitely
of like, it's exciting.
Positive. Like seeing being fearful of something, but then being like, I think fear and excited are so close.
Yeah, they're back to back.
I've definitely in the past had fear of change and fear of things happening, but then now I'm like, no, see it as exciting, you know, and
yeah, definitely.
And so that's pretty much our origin story. It's been really nice to go back down and talk about it. Yeah,
it's funny because there's so many things that I was thinking about, of tangents that we could go off of, you know, like just of different jobs that we've worked, and you know, like how we come into this thing of being like, well, you know, me going back to study at college to get the grades for university, and then realizing I kind of didn't need this. Like I need, you know, the loan was great because it meant that I could get out and come to a city and learn how to fend for myself, but you know, all these like little things, and us working Panda together, like some of the stories we have of working in this tiny little.
I even remember at one point we were like, we're gonna just travel the world. Like, do you remember when we were like, we're not gonna. We were gonna get like a camper van and travel and like just support ourselves through like you busking and like maybe me selling paintings or something.
Yeah,
and
I remember that.
I remember that conversation so well. And
I do. We were in your bedroom.
We were
back in Runcorn.
Because I just had a real like existential moment of like, I don't know what we're doing, like what we're gonna do, and
I know
I felt so scared, and but then I think the next day I think I was like, what about we go uni first, so we'll get loads of money from going uni. But you know, there's loads of other things. Well, like we took a trip to Paris together.
We've done it.
Which was our first trip, which was great.
That's right. That was my first holiday. Meg surprised me with a holiday when we were like 18, and you took me to Paris, which was great. That was the.
That's like some of the best moments, days of my life.
Honestly, that will live in my memory forever. Like we've been to Paris like 3 times, haven't we?
We have, yeah. We do like it there.
And but the first time was special because,
so special.
You know, you're in Paris. We were in the embryonic stage of our relationship. We were in, you know, you're in the city of love.
Yeah.
Or as they say, love.
Did they say that?
No, what's the Louvre?
What's the?
The Louvre, the building, the Louvre in
Oh,
Paris.
the Louvre.
Is that- Does that not mean love?
No.
No. Oh well
I
then.
don't know what that. I think that just means that's just the name of the building. I think it translates to the
The
same.
Oh right.
You know what I mean?
Oh yeah. No.
But I know what
Sure,
you
I'm
mean.
trying
though.
to think,
It was a great.
So romantic.
It
So
was.
we've been to Amsterdam.
Been to Amsterdam
Been to
together.
Amsterdam. We took a trip to Amsterdam. Had a terrible experience with marijuana. Enough to just put you off it for life.
I was fine.
Meg was always again. That's an
Yeah,
example.
I can maybe keep my cool a bit better.
The small stuff,
Yeah.
like we
Quite
had the
chill.
same amount, but we'd had edibles and stuff. And I'm totally not condoning it because, and I'm not telling. This isn't a story because I'm like, oh yeah, bro, like, I was in Amsterdam, I smoked edibles. Like I was so stupid. It was such a silly thing.
No. It was
Never
you
again
know,
would you catch me doing something like that. But at the same time, it was like, well, we're in Amsterdam, right?
It's an experience.
Let's
isn't
have
it?
the
It's a learning
experience. But I can tell you now, kids, it was an experience that was not
Any
worth having,
kids?
and you just don't need to go down. I'll tell you from experience, you don't need to go down that road because it was pointless, silly. I had an really horrible crisis. It was
You
horrible.
did.
Meg-
Resist drugs, kids.
Meg was totally fine. You weren't you? You were just
Yeah.
totally chill, like.
Yeah, maybe that comes from me maybe having a more, like, usually more chill, generally about stuff.
Yeah.
But then also,
Whereas I'm more like I feel like I have that bug more to be like, let's go, let's do some, like, let's figure it
Yeah.
out, let's do something.
Yeah.
Whereas you can be more content with like, oh, I'm cool.
Like going with the flow and
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah, for sure.
I've never done cocaine, but I always suspected that cocaine would have been my drug of choice.
Yeah, for sure.
Because it
sure.
feels like, again, I'm not condoning, definitely not condoning drugs. I would
No.
never do that now. But well, actually, I know what my drug is.
It's coffee.
It's coffee.
Yeah.
That's the drug.
We love coffee.
Just yeah.
It's the only drug we do now.
That's it. Yeah. Well, the drug of life.
Yeah.
Cold
Sugar.
showers. No, I'm not that big on sugar. No.
No, I am.
You like
I get a sweet tooth.
Maggie
me.
likes a little sweet treats. I
I
try
do.
and get brownie points by bringing back little bars of like Cadbury's.
Yeah.
When I've
That's
done a
the way
gig.
to my heart for sure.
Yeah. And
but yeah.
well, we took a trip to LA.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I
we-
totally
yeah,
forgot.
we
did
went to-
that.
we went to Los
yeah, we
Angeles.
did. Such a wild card.
Biggest
Crazy
waste
week.
of money.
Oh no.
At the
What
time
an
it was.
experience.
I feel as if that I had this thing that being 22 at the time, and being a musician that was sort of trying to figure it all out. I had this desire to be like, I wanna go and see what it's all about.
Which is more than fair.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I think back to it, and I think it was great.
It was.
We were just really young and very inexperienced in terms of like traveling, so it was a huge culture shock.
We were also
you know.
traveling for the wrong reasons.
Yeah,
It wasn't
maybe.
like we were going because we wanted to have a holiday or see the place. I don't know why. I don't really know why we were going.
We just sort of
but
ended up there one day.
yeah,
Like we booked the flights. We were like, oh, we're going then.
yeah.
And then,
Let's go.
That's the tale for another time, maybe.
I'd like to go back under different circumstances.
Yeah. Oh, we'd be great going back now.
You think so?
Because we've just matured.
Yeah, I
you
think
know,
that's it. I think
like
that's
a
it.
cheese.
Like a stinky cheese.
Mm.
But yeah, that's
do you
pretty
wanna,
much
do you
been.
want to wrap her up there?
Sure,
Just
yeah,
short of
that's-
50 mins.
So that's pretty much been our whole story together.
Yeah.
And we thought it was important to just give some context about our relationship and about how we, where we're from, what
Yeah.
we came from, where.
It's nice
where
to
we're
have
going.
like a personal thing as well, even if people, I mean, most of the people that listen to us probably know us anyway, but maybe don't know really that much about us, or backstory is always nice to have
Yeah.
that thing of just a personal touch to it.
I can sum this up in just a quick line. One thing I did want to make a point of saying was that obviously we both are very privileged, in our upbringings. We had two parents, we had we lived in
Roof over our heads.
food on the table. We had lots of privileges.
Oh yeah.
But at the same time, not that we weren't privileged, but we didn't. There was no one around us per se that was, my parents, I think, were in a sense, but that idea of like, well, role model in the sense that, hey, you can go and you can go and take life and do what you want, and you can do this and you can do that, and you can get involved in this and that, and don't take no for an answer, and try this and try that. And
you mean didn't really have that. When I hear people say that they had parents or family that were really like that, I'm always like, wow, bloody hell, like, you know, again, not to say that we don't have good parents, but it's that idea of like we've not had like the best role models throughout our lives. Just
in terms of like we grew up with the places where we grew up. I know I'm gonna make you laugh again, but like because I keep using this phrase, but the towns that we grew up, I'll wrap it up.
Okay.
The towns that we lived in.
I'm not looking at the time. I was honestly just looking at myself.
Oh right. Oh well, great.
Making sure the angle's nice.
You've got every reason to look at yourself.
Thanks.
The towns that we grew up in are they're industrial towns. It is. This is only because we've done like 5 podcasts that didn't air, and I use that phrase every time. You know, they're small towns. There's the culture around us is, you sort of go from college to uni into a job. Working class. You know, there's a lot of drinking culture, drug culture, smoking culture. There wasn't a lot in the way of like, hey, you can like put a lot of effort and emphasis on starting your own projects,
or like your health.
Put your mental and physical health first, and you know, think hard about the decisions you're making and what you love and where you want to go and what you want to be. We didn't have that, and I think a lot of people also don't have that. And but I think where we might have been slightly different is that I think we had every reason to sort of follow that path, and I think we did for a little bit, and then we've sort of verged into this new life, and it feels like within this past year or two of starting up our own businesses, but then also starting this up together, it feels like it's been the most prosperous time of my life,
and fulfilling, because we're excited about it, and
100%.
That in itself is a privilege, but it's like we've sort of come this far together, and now it's like like we could just start a podcast together and start talking about anything, and hopefully be a bit of a voice of like, and like you can do it as well.
That's right.
You know, not by doing exactly what we do, but just having someone there to be like, like you can do these things that you want to do. You can be excited about things. You can, you know, it doesn't matter. Like, I guess maybe what you're trying to say is like,
go on.
Like, it doesn't matter where like you come from.
Yeah, that was it. It doesn't matter what your circumstances are. I mean, obviously to a certain extent, you know, if you
oh yeah, for sure,
you know,
goes without saying.
But I just think, but yeah, and it's nice because I feel as if that from my own childhood and upbringing, I've had that instilled into me of like, you can go out, and like from my dad, it was you can go out and there's not money to be made, but his thing was always
living to be made.
It's like if you work hard enough at something that you care about, it's there. It is there. You just have to work for it. And my mum was always like, just very much like if there was a project or something, I'd be like, well, you know, I've got this idea about something. My mum would be like, yeah, like let's do that, and let's take it to the nth degree of doing it. If you're gonna do it, let's do it right, and let's get excited about it and be creative.
Yeah.
And it's nice to think that maybe. Really nice. Yeah, and I think we both have that now, and it'd be nice to be able to instill that into people. I'd love the idea of being that
voice for someone.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
You can totally give anything a go, run at anything.
100%.
Because I think the alternative is like, people say that you're just being a realist or being like
live
an
in the clouds
or things like that, and it's like, well, no, the alternative is like you don't ever believe in yourself, and that's not great.
That and that you will probably go through life thinking that you deserve a certain like level of entry job. You know, it's like, well, I came out of uni. It's like, well, no, I need to do an entry level job because that's what everyone does. Or oh no, I didn't.
Following like the status quo, which I don't think we've definitely done in so many ways that's worked out really well for us. But I think these past few years and this past year especially, not following the status quo has like worked really well for us.
Well, it's been life changing, hasn't it? And it's been great because I feel as if that for ages it's like you always feel like I was searching for like an identity. I was searching for like, who am I? Am I this bohemian musician? I should smoke, I should drink, I should do drugs, I should be pushing this kind of agenda. Or oh no, I'm not that guy. Maybe I'm this guy that's obsessed about like just becoming this this big name that everybody knows, and then it's like, well, no, if you actually just like take your ego out of it and you just you look about why you're doing something, and you try and be like, well, I want to be the healthiest person I can be for you, and you want to be that person for me, and I want to be healthy for me, and I want to give myself the best chance mentally and physically that I can. You break down a lot of that rubbish, and then what you're left with is like, okay, well,
what now?
Who is it that I actually am, and what is it that I want to go and put into the world and do?
Yeah.
And I feel like we've broken through that barrier a bit, to the point where it's like, this feels like a great opportunity to be able to instill positivity and potentially like new habits and new starts and new frames of mind and perspectives for people, and that feels very exciting, and
it does.
I'm excited for that.
I'm excited too.
So join us for the next episode.
Yeah,
where
we'll be back next week.
Next week, yeah.
With an episode. Have we decided yet, or should we leave it a surprise?
Should we leave it as a surprise?
Let's leave it a surprise.
Okay, but we'll be back same time next week with another episode. Thank you so much for listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you to anyone who's listened and who's stayed, and yeah, really, really appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We'll see you next time. Thanks so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.